Have you ever had the experience where you wake up and you're like, okay, that's it. That's it. I gotta stop being so negative. I have got to start talking to myself in a much kinder way, right? I'm sure you've had that experience. Most of us have had that experience where you literally are like, I'm done talking trash to myself. And so you go into your bathroom, you stand in front of the mirror, and you look at yourself after decades and decades of trashing yourself and hating on your body, and you're like, I love you. I really love you. I love my body. I love and accept where I am in life. And you try to cultivate this sort of like positive self-talk. And then it feels good for a second, right? But then you go into your closet and you got to pull on your jeans and you can barely get them up. And then you go to try to zip them up. And then you start immediately, without even realizing, going, oh God, why did I, and you start trashing yourself, right? Because trashing yourself is a habit. So the reason why most mantras are complete bullshit is because you are picking a mantra to repeat that you don't believe. That's number one. And more importantly, you are picking a mantra to repeat that is the exact opposite of how you treat and speak to yourself all day long. The reason why those positive, I love myself, I'm happy with who I am, I accept myself, the reason why those mantras don't work in the beginning is because your brain rejects it. You've spent a lifetime trashing your body, trashing yourself, telling yourself you're stupid, telling yourself that you're not good enough, telling yourself that nothing's ever going to work out for you. There is no way that you're going to be able to stand in front of a mirror, everybody, look yourself in the eye and say, today's the day that I'm going to forget all that stuff and I'm just going to accept myself. And the reason why it's not going to work is because all day long, you then continue to beat yourself up. And so what does work? Well, I'm going to read from chapter 7 of my New York Times bestselling book, The High Five Habit. The place where we left off, for those of you, is page 91, where we were talking about training your mind to change the way that it views the world. Intentionally training your mind to help you. And this is an important thing to learn how to do, because if your mind is going to accept new ways of thinking and new beliefs about you, you must also train your mind to start to see the world differently. And so you can do the exercises that I'm teaching you in conjunction with what I'm about to teach you about mantras. So mistake number one, when it comes to you trying to become a more positive person and when you are trying to change the way that you talk to yourself, is you pick a mantra that you do not at your core believe, okay? You pick something that is the antithesis of how you actually believe it yourself. And so the mistake number one that you're making when it comes to mantras is that you're picking a mantra that is so far away from where you are that your mind immediately rejects it. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is that you pick a mantra that is simply just you repeating a statement that is the exact opposite of how you speak to yourself and how you treat yourself all day long. And so, let me just talk about this on a common sense standpoint. Let's say that you really want to become healthier, okay? How many of you want to become healthier, right? And you know all the things you need to do. How many of you want to become healthier and you know the specific actions you need to take in order to become healthier, right? Of course you know what to do. You know that you could eat better food. You know that you could get more sleep. You know that you could move your body a little bit more. You know that you could drink more water. You know that you could lay off the booze and the fatty, starchy foods. All those little actions would add up to a much healthier you. Are you with me? Yes, of course you're with me. Okay, so knowing what to do is the easy part. Knowing kind of what you want, that's the easy part. The problem with sticking to those changes is that your own negative self-talk trashes you all day long. And the negative self-talk, I'm so fat. Oh, there I go again. I said I wouldn't have dessert, but I did. Oh, I said I wouldn't drink tonight, and I just did. Oh, I said I was going to go gluten-free, and I didn't. Oh, I'm sad, so I'm going to do this. Oh, I don't feel like going for a walk. All of that negative thinking and talking, it makes you feel less motivated and less worthy of the change that you want. And so if you wake up every day and you have a dream and a goal of becoming healthier, and you know that today you're going to move your body, and today you're going to drink more water, and today you're going to cut out the gluten, and today you're going to do whatever, you're going to donate the clothes that don't fit so you stop trashing yourself. All things that make you feel better, right? If you stand in front of the mirror and you say, I love you and I accept you exactly how you are. I love you and you deserve to be, and I love myself, and I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be the best me I can be. And then the next thing you do is you go into the kitchen and you glug, 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 pour a ton of cream into your coffee. Your mind is immediately going to go, why did you just do that? Oh my God, here I go. I'm 1 minute into this. And your own negative self-talk just overrode what you said in the mirror. That mantra that I love myself and I accept myself. By the time you got into the kitchen, you have already trashed yourself. The pouring the cream in the coffee is an example that you don't love yourself. You're not sticking to your word. And now your motivation goes, boo, to change, right? This is why most mantras are complete bullshit. You're picking something you don't believe. So what will work? Because the truth is, research says that having a positive attitude, having an optimistic attitude, being kind to yourself is the secret to motivation and inspiration. When you treat yourself with respect, when you cheer yourself forward, when you forgive yourself when you screw up, you are going to feel more worthy, and you're going to feel more encouraged, and you're going to feel more likely to pick yourself back up, dump the coffee with the cream out, make the coffee with the plant-based thing that you said you would drink, shrug your shoulders, laugh that you just instinctively poured the cream in, and then there you go. Take a sip of your coffee. So we know that positive talk helps. We know that kindness helps when it comes to motivation. The problem is you're picking a mantra that is so pie in the sky, and it's making you feel far away from what you want. And so what will work? I'll tell you what works, and then I'm going to read to you from the High Five Habit. Mantras only work, number one, if you believe them. I'm going to say that again. Mantras only work if you believe them. So if you're somebody that has struggled with self-acceptance for a very long time, it will not work for you to stand in front of the mirror when you feel broken and you're at the beginning of your journey of taking control of your life. It will not work for you to stand in front of the mirror and to say, I love and accept myself. Because as you stand in front of the mirror and say that, your brain is going to be like, no, you don't. Did you see how you treated yourself yesterday? You do not love and accept yourself. I know I'm a ventriloquist now. I'm your brain. And then that truth, that your actions don't align with what you're saying, plummets your motivation and your desire to change. Being in an unhealthy marriage. If you stand in front of the mirror and you say to yourself, I'm going to love myself no matter what, okay? Or I'm going to make this marriage work. Or something that is really out there, this statement that's like, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to do what it takes to save this marriage. Okay, do you see how that is a statement that is really kind of way up there, right? If you're in an unhealthy marriage, standing in front of a mirror and saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. Or standing in front of a mirror and saying, I got to just hold on because I don't want to hurt the kids. That is an affirmation or a mantra that you will then contradict all day long with your actions. Because if you're in an unhealthy relationship, you're tolerating behavior that's not acceptable. You're probably not doing the work in therapy, or if you are in therapy, you're going to the sessions but not applying it in real time. You are also probably not telling the truth about what you need and then holding somebody to that in time and space. And so what I would want you to say instead is something that you can believe, which is, I deserve to be in a healthy relationship. I deserve to be in a healthy relationship. When you say I deserve to be in something, you're not saying you know how to make it happen. You're not saying that it's going to happen overnight. You are setting a standard that even though your mind sees you having tolerated emotional or whatever kind of abuse or unhealthy dynamics in your relationship, when you say, I deserve to be in a healthy relationship, that is a believable mantra or affirmation. And you can say that to yourself all day long. And your actions, whatever they are, or your thoughts throughout the day, are not going to contradict that statement. Isn't that cool? Let's go on with another one. I need help with healthy boundaries, okay? I have unhealthy boundaries. I don't know how to say no. I feel guilty when I take time for myself. When you say, I'm going to be strong today, I'm saying no today, like when you say that as a mantra or an affirmation, if you have a moment of weakness, if you don't find the strength to say no, you are then going to have your actions contradict what you said in the morning, which erodes your confidence, it erodes your connection to self, it erodes your motivation to keep going. So you want to create a healthy boundary. You want to create a mantra, rather, that is something that you can believe. You ready? Here's some new mantras. And I've got a whole list of them that you can try out on page 95 called Meaningful Mantras. Let's see if any of these, give me a heart or write in the comments if you struggle with boundaries and you want to be a stronger person. How about this? I deserve to feel good today. I am an awesome person at my core. I'm going to try to have my own back today. Wow, what broke my heart in the past is going to open my eyes in the future. Now notice, when you say something like that, what broke my heart in the past has opened my eyes in the future. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to hold boundaries. It means that you're anchoring down in awareness. Today is going to be a good day. Notice I didn't say great. Notice I didn't say the best. Today is going to be a good day because you can find one good thing in any day, so it's more believable. I'm going to figure this out. Oh, I love that one. Don't you love that one as a mantra? I'm going to figure this out. Doesn't mean I'm going to figure it out today. But even if you're struggling with unhealthy boundaries, or you're in an unhealthy relationship, or you're struggling with procrastination, and today you procrastinate, or today you don't say no, and you say, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. You are bolstering the fact that every day you are learning something. What's meant for me is trying to find me. What's meant for me, this relationship, even though it's testing me, it's trying to teach me something. This scares me, but I'm going to try anyway. This scares me, but I'm going to try anyway. You know, I'm not giving myself enough credit. I'm not giving myself enough credit. That's a pretty good one, right? Because even if you don't follow through with the actions, it's true. You aren't giving yourself enough credit. And so what am I trying to teach you? Most mantras are bullshit because you're picking something you don't believe. So number one, you must pick something that even if you're not following through on the actions, you can get behind and believe. I deserve to be happy. Those of you that are writing in, I see in the comments a bunch of you saying, but what if I don't feel like I deserve it? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I want you to admit to me and to yourself right now that deep down, beneath all the pain, beneath all the heartache, beneath all the things that aren't working in your life, you do long to be happy. You miss it. You can only miss something that you know. And you know that deep down, you deserve that thing that you long for. When you say that you're unworthy or you don't believe that you deserve it, what that tells me is you don't think you can do the work to make it happen. Feeling insecure about your ability to make something happen is different than a belief that you don't deserve that thing you long for. And I want you to separate those two. For those of you that feel like you don't deserve success or you don't deserve happiness, write in the comments right now, I deserve to feel happy. I'm just not quite sure what to do to make it happen. Just write that statement. I deserve to feel happy. I'm just not quite sure today what to do to make that happen. Do you see how that is something you can get behind, right? That you deserve it, you're just not sure how to make it happen. And it's important for you to locate that inside you. Because when you can start to look in the mirror and say, I deserve to be happy. I'm tired of being sad. I deserve to be happy. I just don't know what to do today to make that happen. Once we can get you to start to say, I deserve to, I'm just not quite sure how to do it. Now, what's great about that is if you start repeating that throughout the day, you notice that halfway through the day, you have something crappy happen at work. Stop for a second. You know, I deserve to be happy. I'm just not sure what to do today to make that happen. But I'm noticing that I don't really feel good at this job. That's amazing, because you're starting to have this wake up moment. You're starting to have a wake up, right, to what you want. And that's the first step for any kind of transformation. And so the whole takeaway here is, number one, most mantras are complete bullshit because you're picking a mantra you do not believe. And then all day long, your actions and your thoughts just contradict the mantra. Which means number three, your self-confidence and your desire to do the work to create that change just implodes and you lose all motivation and willpower. How you fix this is, number one, you pick what I call a believable. I should have called it kind of a lame mantra. That's not that inspiring. You pick something that's more believable because it's true. You do deserve to be happy. You know what else is true? Over time, you can figure anything out. You know what else is true? If you make progress every single day, you'll slowly start to turn your life in a little direction. You know what else is true? You are capable of doing the work over time to change your life. That is true. All of those things are true. And what's going to happen if you stand in front of that mirror and you continue to say, everybody, I deserve to be happy. I'm just not quite sure how to make that happen today. What's going to start to happen is you're going to notice, because you're claiming the fact that you deserve it, you're going to start to notice that that line, I don't know what to do today, is going to start to change into, but I can figure it out. But I'm starting to figure it out. And that'll then change to, I deserve to be happy. And I see myself every day doing something small that makes me happy. Because you want to know the simple secret to feeling happier in your life. This is going to be crazy for you to hear, but it's true. The simple secret to feeling happier, it's about systems, everybody. It's not about your ability to be happy. It's about the systems that you create in your life and the habits that you have that create the feeling of happiness. So happy people do something that unhappy people don't. Happy people prioritize and plan and do things that make them happy. And it can be small things. Literally. We're going to dig into this in a much deeper level. But if you think about a time in your life when you were happier, write down all the things that you were doing that actually brought joy or happiness into your life. Now write down all the things that you do today. Compare the list. Your own wisdom is giving you the map That's how you figure these things out. You also figure them out by watching live streams like this, reading books like The High Five Habit and The 5-Second Rule, by listening to podcasts. You have within you the ability to figure anything out. That's one of the best mantras on the planet, by the way, is that over time, and with a little bit of effort, I can figure this out. I know I can. And that is going to kind of push you forward.
Worrying is wasting time. It's robbing you of what you want to do in your life, and it's making you suffer in a needless way. Look, I don't want you to get to the end of your life and look back and think, I wish I hadn't wasted so much of my precious life on stuff that didn't matter. I wish I didn't let all that stupid worrying keep me from doing the things that I always dreamt about doing. I'm here to tell you that you can learn how to switch your thoughts to something more productive and optimistic. This is great news. Worry is a hackable thing, and I'm going to use a ton of science and proven experience to show you just how to hack it using one magical tool. And here's the great news. Once you learn how worry starts, you can use that knowledge to make it stop. You can practice this magical tool every day to quiet your mind. I mean, just imagine that. A quiet mind. Wow. I know exactly how you feel. I mean, I know how exhausting and frustrating it is to constantly be trapped in the grinding cycle of worrying about everything. How do I know this? I lived it. I've always been worried. I mean, if you could be a baby that worries, that was me. I'm sure at 11 months, when my mom was running late to heat up my pureed carrots and potatoes, I was probably thinking, is she coming back? Where is she? I'm starving. I mean, I might just starve to death here. I think she hates me. She's left. Maybe she's angry about the face I made as I tried the pureed snow peas for lunch. Oh my gosh, what do I do? I have to find a new family to feed me. How am I going to find my new family? I got no connections, no money. I'm wearing a diaper. I can't even walk yet. I'm going to starve to death in the next 24 hours. That was baby Mel. And that was just the beginning. I mean, I was just kind of warming up for a life of worry on a very elite professional level. You know, as a little kid, I worried about everything from the teacher's reaction to whether or not the kid in the stall next to me was going to hear me fart. When I got to middle school, it was all about whether or not my tough skin jeans were cool or my acne or my new perm that I immediately regretted. When I was in college, I was worried if I studied enough for the test, if I was going to flunk out, if I was going to go blind from the grain alcohol I drank from the garbage can at that frat party. I worried if I had enough gas in the car to get to the grocery store. The truth about worrying is, once you let it start to spin, it just spins out of control. I'm sure you know this. I mean, worry has tormented me. Since I was a kid, it tormented me as a teen, in my 20s, my 30s, hell, my 40s. And if I can go from having this worry as my torturous default and learn how to interrupt it and redirect it and program a positive mind, you can too. Here's exactly what you need to do about worry and overthinking. Here's the magical tool I want to share with you. And I got to give you a warning. This is going to sound so simple. You might even start worrying that it's not going to work. That's why I have strung along this episode like it's an infomercial about worrying, because the solution is so simple, and it has to be. When it comes to your habit of worrying, you already overcomplicate everything. If I give you 3 steps to remember, you won't do any of them. That's how good you are at worrying. I need you to have something simple. So I've come up with this incredible way to do hand-to-hand combat with your worrying mind. Are you ready? Good. The second you catch yourself worrying, when you feel your mind spin, when you feel your shoulders pinch up towards your ears like new earrings and you feel your jaw clench, and wait, there's more. You feel yourself starting to get heavy and paralyzed and defeated, and those worries start to spin in your mind. Here's exactly what you're going to do. It's just 6 magical words. It encapsulates incredible research. It's so simple. You can do it. And don't worry, it's going to work. Here are the 6 magical words you're going to say to yourself every time you worry. What if it all works out? That's it. What if it all works out? Look, I know what you're thinking. You feel let down right now. That's because you're worried it's not going to work. But what if it all works out? What if these simple, stupid 6 words actually work? What if trying this works out? You just heard me say the words. What if it all works out? And you know what your response was? Well, I don't think it's going to work out. That's why I'm worrying. You got to trust me on this. Your worries sound just as dumb as this magical tool does. You have just listened to your worry for so long that you believe it. Now, I said this was hand-to-hand combat. You don't just throw one punch. You're going to have to keep on punching. Every time one of your stupid worries pop into your head, what if I don't get the apartment? What if I don't lose the weight? What if I don't get the raise? What if I look stupid my first day of work? What if nobody ever loves me? What if the swamp monster kills me? You need to punch those stupid worries in the face with 6 magical words, because this simple question breaks the pattern of worrying. Because if you think about worrying always begins with what if. In fact, my daughter used to call her worries the what if loop. I feel like I'm trapped in a what if loop, Mom. Well, guess what? You're trapped in a what if loop too. So you need just one fast, perfectly placed, boom, counterpunch. You need the same punch for every worry. So you get really good at punching every worry in the face. And that punch is, what if it all works out? That's the counterpunch you need to knock absolutely any worry and all overthinking away. It's pretty incredible. I'm here to tell you, in those moments when you get trapped in this, what if this, what if that, and you start spinning, you got to stop it. And the fastest way to stop the spinning is to say, well, what if it all works out? What if I get the apartment? What if I pass the test? What if the doctor says something and it's okay? What if he doesn't break up with me? What if he breaks up with me and it all works out? What if I get bad news and it all works out and I'm okay? It's a way to get back the feeling of control. You see, the research shows that when you feel out of control, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain behind your forehead, the part that's in charge of organizing information and making decisions, it basically stops working when you feel out of control. And that's why it's so hard to make decisions, and it's why it's hard to move ahead. You just get stuck in this dark mental loop because you literally are so focused on things not working out that you don't have anything positive to grab onto. What if it all works out? Gives you something positive to hold on to. It gives your brain the ladder out of a dark hole of worry. And all you have to do is step on the first rung. Because the first rung on that ladder out of that dark hole of worry is 6 simple words. What if it all works out? Ask it again and you step on the second rung. What if it all works out? Again and you're on the third rung. Ask it repeatedly about the same problem and it's like climbing up the ladder. And before you know it, the ladder, what if it all works out, has got you up so high, you are out of the hole of worry and you have a completely different view of the situation. Listen, there will always be things that come out of nowhere. We can't stop the outside world. We can't stop the fact that you are probably going to worry about something every day. I mean, hello, global pandemic. People get sick. People say they don't want to be married. Jobs get taken away. The stock market drops. Shit happens. It's easy and normal to feel knocked down by life. But you can always use these 6 magical words to help you ride the ups and downs in life. What if it all works out? Doesn't mean it's going to work out today. One of the reasons why your brain loves the sentence, what if it all works out, is you haven't put a deadline at the end of it. The fact that you're saying, well, what if it all works out, automatically allows your brain to expand out of the current crisis because you know, based on your life experience, that in the end, over the years, yeah, eventually, it does all work out. And, you know, here's a third reason why these 6 magical words create opportunity, possibility, positivity, and a better situation. And that is because it anchors you in optimism. When you're worried and you say, how will it work out? When is it going to work out? What if it doesn't work out? The how and the when, it narrows your focus. It gets you caught in the worry loop, and it makes your thoughts and your mood spiral tighter and tighter and tighter. The second you say, well, what if it all works out? You just change that one word from how's it going to work out? How's it going to what if it all works out? I mean, come on. And it opens you up. You can just feel the different energy. How's it going to work out? What if it all works out? If you consider that it will all work out, you begin to see multiple paths. How puts the blinders on? It makes things really small. What if it all works out? Opens up the world of alternatives that you have, and it widens the scope. It widens the lens you're looking through, making room for better things to happen. The next time you hear yourself say, what if, and you start bracing for the worst, instead, just insert your new magic words. What if it all works out? What if this turns out to be the best decision I've ever made? What if I look back 6 months from now and this, right now, this was the moment I found the courage to be myself? What if I'm stronger and more resilient than I think? What if something amazing is happening and I just need to believe it? That last one is everything. I do believe something amazing is happening for you. I do believe that you are stronger and more resilient than you think. It will work out for you.
Today's lesson is very short, and it is entitled, Think This, Not That. Yesterday and the past couple days, we have been building on the topic of how you become a deliberate thinker. You have already learned that there are two modes in your brain. There's autopilot and the things that you default to, and then there is your ability to deliberately choose what you are going to think about. And when you start to realize and embrace the fact that being a deliberate thinker is a skill, and it is one that I want you to master, and it's one that I want you to practice. Because doing a mindset reset, it's not an event, it's a process. And it's a process that you're going to do over and over and over again. Because the negative and limiting beliefs that you have that are already set to your default, those are encoded in the default network in your brain. And so it's going to be a process that you need to repeat. The second you catch yourself thinking something that is negative or is a limiting belief or is something that was stuck in your mind from somebody in your past, the second you catch yourself defaulting to that, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to switch gears and you are going to think about something deliberate. And so yesterday, your assignment was to notice all day long when your mind was drifting to those default negative thoughts. And what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to write down what are the default negative thoughts that you had throughout your day. And many of you were startled to discover just how often you're thinking really nasty things about yourself. You were bummed and a little bit sad to realize, holy cow, I can't believe how often I tell myself I'm not good enough. I can't believe how often I tell myself that my ideas aren't good and I shut myself up. And there were just as many of you that were liberated when you started to realize, wait a minute, this isn't the voice of God talking to me. This is some programming that's set on default. I don't have to live my life and I don't have to have a future where I constantly say things that are negative to myself. This is the most miraculous thing that I've ever heard. And so what I want you to do in the comments is I want you to write what was the limiting belief or the negative thing that kept coming up, because there were a lot of themes. Christine Nichols said that her limiting belief is that she believes she's a quitter. She believes she can't finish anything. And she started to see examples of it over and over and over again. And what she also started to realize is, holy cow, it's a lie. There's lots of things that I've finished in my life, but if I continue to have the limiting belief that I'm a quitter, if I look out to the future, I will be giving myself permission to not go for harder things. I will give myself permission to quit. A lot of the common beliefs that we heard was that I'm too old. How many of you feel like you're too old to get the things that you want in your life? That is super common. So if you think I'm too old to do this, if you think I've run out of time, if you think, who am I at the age that I am or as young as I am to think that I could do this thing, first of all, you're wrong. And secondly, that's a limiting belief that is stopping you. It's a default mode that we need to get you out of. huge one for you all was, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough when it comes to other people. I'm not as good as other people. And let me tell you something. This is an epidemic, feeling like you're not good enough, because way too many of us spend our days comparing our imperfect lives to perfect strangers on the internet. And so the feeling like you're not good enough, you're not measuring up, that there's some sort of imaginary race that you're running against the rest of humanity, and that by now, at this point in your life, you're supposed to be at a certain place. And how do you know that? Because every time you look on social media, there are hundreds of people in your face that seem to be at the place that you thought you would be. And so that just reinforces it. And oh my God, the default network is getting stronger. If that's how you feel, you're not alone. That was the single biggest one that we noticed in all of your comments from all over the world. I am not good enough. And we heard loud and clear that you got it from your mom, or you got it from your dad, or you got it from some horrible person that you were in a relationship with. And the problem is you started to believe it, and it got encoded in the default network. So now that you've seen it, good job. You can't get rid of the default until you actually spot it. And now that you've seen it, I want you to realize for the rest of your life, you have a job. And your job is to make sure that when that default network kicks back up and you start to murmur that you're too old, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, that is a moment where you have got to do a mindset reset. And the way that you're going to do it, because you're learning that there's two modes of your brain: the default, I'm not good enough, and the deliberate, oh yeah, I can try, is we're going to teach you that you can think this, not that. That whenever this default mode comes up of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not enough, whatever enough is, that you can spot it as the default and you can get deliberate and you can say something different. In the body of this broadcast, on Facebook, on YouTube. Where else are we putting this?
Twitter.
On Twitter. Although it won't be on Twitter, the copy. But in the email that we're about to send you with links to this video, and on YouTube and on Facebook, we are going to give you a very long description of alternatives on how you think this, not that. And we're going to give you some things that you can play around with to insert to start to build a deliberate network. And if you don't like these, no problem. Make something up that you really like. But the point is that if you don't get deliberate, you will be stuck with the default mode of thinking. And the way that you reprogram your default mode of thinking so that the default becomes positive and the default becomes courageous and the default becomes loving is, first you catch the negative default, and second, you direct it to something deliberate. So instead of thinking, no one likes me, this is mine because I think I'm a bad person. No one likes me. What I want you to think instead is, the right people love me. That's pretty powerful. That's really powerful for me. I constantly remind myself that the right people love me, that the right people are in my life. Instead of saying, oh, nobody likes me or I'm not part of that group, I remind myself that the right people, the people I need, they're the ones that are in my life right now. If you're somebody who says, I'm too old, here's what I want you to say: I have plenty of time. Or you could say, I have so much experience, I'm definitely going to succeed. If you say, I'm too young, then say anything you want, from I have plenty of time to learn what I need to learn, to being young is an advantage, to whatever it is. The point that I'm trying to make is, if your default is negative, I don't want you to think that. I want you to catch it when you do, and then I want you to think this, something positive. If you're constantly thinking, I'm behind, you look at social media and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing the race of life. Then I want you to think, I'm on my own timeline. It's not I'm behind, it's I'm doing things in my own time. Another one you could say if you say I'm behind is, I'm exactly where I need to be. One of the big things that I always say is that you never move to the next level of your life until you learn the lesson in this one. Instead of thinking I'm not smart enough, I want you to think, if I put in the work, I can do anything. Instead of thinking I'm not smart enough, say, hey, if I put in the work, I can learn anything. If I put in the work, I can master anything. If I put in the work, I can build anything. It's not about smarts. It's about the effort that I put in. That's another thing that you could say. Instead of saying I'm not smart enough, go, well, hey, you dummy, it's not about being smart. It's about the work. Make this yours. If you can make it funny, fantastic, because then that cuts the seriousness that so many of us bring to trying to change our lives. This can be fun, Instead of thinking I'm not good enough, I love this one. How about I'm doing the best I can? Or I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. I think one of the most important things that you can do in life is you can ask for what you need. You can ask it of yourself. You can ask it of your work. You can ask it of your spouse. You can ask it of your family. You can ask it of your friends. And you should. Because when you ask for what you need, you are honoring what's true for you. Now, here's the interesting thing. You might not get it. And getting what you are asking for, it's not the point. When you have the courage to stop listening to those limiting default beliefs and start asking of yourself and asking of the people around you the things that you need, what you're doing in the asking is you are honoring the best part of you. And whatever it is that you receive, trust me, you need this right now because you're learning something in it. There is no experience in your life that is wasted. And so I know that many of you, because I've been reading the comments every single day, so has every member of our team, I know that so many of you are feeling at a very low point. I know you're feeling beaten down. I want to tell you something. There is something to learn in this. And one of the places that you can start is, instead of thinking about how miserable things are, and instead of thinking about how broken you feel, I want you to think about how much you've survived. I want you to think about the fact that even though you may feel broken and you may feel scared and you may feel completely overwhelmed, that in order to get beyond this, you got to understand that the world and your future are not broken and overwhelming. In fact, they are there to help you make the changes that you need. I truly believe this. I truly believe this. And so again, today, you're going to continue what you were doing yesterday, because guess what? Now that I've opened Pandora's box and you understand there's a default mode and there's a deliberate mode to the way that you think, and now that you've spent a day looking at how your default thoughts kind of stink and they make you feel bad, and you realize, wow, I could change through deliberate thinking the way that I talk to myself, this is something you're going to practice for the rest of your life. This is not a one and done. This is not an event. This is a practice. This is a process, and this is a skill. And so here's what I want you to do today. I want you to write down what is in the comments, what is your limiting belief, and what is it that you're going to think deliberately when that limiting belief comes up. So for me, when the belief comes up, nobody likes me, that's the default mode. The deliberate thing I'm going to think is the right people love me. The other one that I have is I'm constantly worried that I'm disappointing somebody. Constantly. And so when I'm worried and I feel that spidey sense come up, that tingly thing that's in your body, like, uh-oh, am I disappointing that person? Am I disappointing that person? Instead of thinking that, I'm going to think the only person I have to worry about not disappointing is me, because I'm the only person that I'm in control of anyway. In fact, I just had a big conversation with my daughter about this, about how we get so wrapped up in our lives about making sure other people are okay. And so we aren't direct, we hide information, we worry about things. And the easiest way to live your life is to just speak plainly about what's true for you. What did I just say earlier? Ask for what you need. And that also includes telling the truth about what you're thinking, about what you're doing, about who you're spending your time with. Because the minute that you're hiding information, you're kind of managing stuff with people, you're now in the default mode because you're managing disappointing people. You're managing whether or not people like you. You're thinking that you're not good enough, so you're lying and hiding information. That's how the default mode and all these negative thinking start to creep in and make you do things that you know you shouldn't be doing. But it starts with your thinking. If you change how you think, you'll change your life. Mandy, is there anything else that I should be adding in this? In the email and in the body copy on Facebook and YouTube, we will give you examples for think this, not that, but you can create your own. You're too old, you got plenty of time. You're not good enough, you're going to try. Or, oh yeah, watch me. Or, I don't believe you. You can come up with anything as long as it empowers you and it's deliberate. And so it's important for you today to write down your limiting beliefs. And then I want you to go through the process, and you can do this in the comments. What is the thing that you're going to think deliberately today? What are you going to choose to say to yourself when your attitude starts circling the drain? And instead of flushing your thoughts down the toilet and the rest of the day with it, no, I'm not going to go down the default network. I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 make a decision. And I'm going to be deliberate about what I think about today. Today, what we're going to do today is we're going to take it a step further. Now that you've identified your limiting belief, we're going to look at what is it costing you to choose to repeat it. Because remember the quote I started with. You have a choice right now. You get to repeat the things you've always done, or you can evolve them and become more deliberate. Let's talk about the cost of that limiting belief. I'm going to go first. So write down your limiting belief. I see a lot of, I'm not good enough. My mental health is holding me back. I can't run a successful business. I'm lazy and I can't do anything. I'm not healthy enough. Money is the issue. I'm scared to fail. What is the limiting belief that you have? I'm certain it has something to do with not being enough. Once you've written that down, you're afraid of failure. You don't deserve success, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how to start. These are excellent. You're doing an excellent job. The first step to moving from that default into getting deliberate is actually seeing it. So seeing it is fantastic because now we can start to understand that, whoa, this got programmed in. It's my default mode. I want to get rid of it. How do we get rid of it? Well, let's first identify why you want to. Let's take a hard look at the cost of having this limiting belief. So in order to figure out the cost of having the limiting belief, what's my limiting belief? That I'm not a good person. That's my limiting belief. That I am not a good person. That you don't think I'm a good person. That I don't think I'm a good person. And here's what you're going to do in order to identify the cost, okay? You're going to ask yourself 3 questions, and they're very simple. What is this limiting belief in my case that I'm not a good person? What does it cost me in my past to think this way? What is it costing me in this present moment to think that I'm not a good person? And here's the kicker. If I don't evolve this, if I don't get deliberate, what is it going to cost me in the future to continue to think that I'm not a good person? So in the past, thinking that I'm not a good person, it did a bunch of things. First of all, it made me very sad. Secondly, it made me a liar because I assumed that I wasn't good enough and I'm not a good person, so I got to pretend to be somebody else. It also made me cheat on people because I didn't think I deserved love. And it also, by believing that I wasn't a good person, it somehow justified the bad behavior. I mean, if I'm a bad person, then I do bad things, right? What does it cost me in the present to believe that I'm not a good person? Well, it costs me a lot of joy. It costs me connection in friendships because I'm constantly questioning whether or not people actually like me for me. It makes me second guess myself and whether or not I deserve the success. And what does it cost me in the future? It's going to cost me everything. If I continue to repeat this pattern and I continue to allow myself to default to believing that I'm not a good person, I will never be fully happy. I will never be fully present. I probably will not be successful when we launch this new daytime talk show in the fall. And so I got a choice to make, and I want to get rid of this. because I can see what allowing myself to believe that I'm not a good person is costing me. This exercise of identifying your limiting belief and then seeing what it's cost you in your past, your present, and your future is so important for you to do that I want to give you another example. So to really, really drive it home, okay? And so I want to bring in my husband. Why don't you scoot on this? I don't know if you can lean in on that thing. You sit on this chair. I'm going to bring in my husband, Christopher Robbins. Yes, if you've ever been a fan of Winnie the Pooh, his name is Christopher Robbins. And Chris is going to go through this exercise too. And I think it's important for we're sharing a chair here, and so we're like really close. I think it's important for you guys to know that Chris is one of the partners in our media company. He's our CFO, and he's also the founder of a men's retreat called Soul Degree. And he's a yoga instructor and president of the Booster Club. So this is a guy that's like really accomplished and super amazing. So with that context, founder of Soul Degree, what's your limiting belief?
Well, of course, it would be appropriate that I think forever it's just been that I'm not good enough, I think that's it, succinctly, that I'm not living up. And certainly in the past, it's been all around the decisions I've made career-wise, never thinking that I was in fact good enough, which just took away from, I suppose, all the joy that I could have had.
Were you really sad when you were little?
Yeah, I think I was just down and out, probably feeling alone, and like the decisions I had made along the path were not the right ones, and then that subsequently not performing, and or at least not performing to my own expectation.
So how has not feeling good enough? I can see how it would make you feel sad, especially, there's so much pressure on men to succeed, feeling like you weren't good enough in your career, blah, blah, blah. Even ski racing, because you grew up as a kid ski racing. How did feeling not good enough impact the way you raced?
I probably just could have skied a lot better than even I did, because I was constantly thinking it wasn't good enough.
And now what about in the present? What is the default belief that you're not good? Is it like, how is it still in your life in this moment? Because here's the thing about a limiting belief, guys, is that everybody will look at you on the outside and they'll be convinced you don't have it. They'll be shocked that you believe that about yourself. And that's why it's important for you to be honest with yourself about what your limiting belief is, because it's something you are doing to yourself. So what is the belief that you're not good enough? How is that impacting your life right now, Chris?
Probably has everything to do with just being the point parent. As much as I love being the point parent and having the time with the kids that I have, given your own schedule.
Let me explain what that means. So Chris and I Chris and I, because of the amount of work that I use, Chris is the one that is home more often. He's the one that is really in charge of what's going on with the kids. He has been home for these last 3 to 4 years, playing a huge role in the back end of our company. But the primary role is the parent. And traditionally, at least in the United States, it's the woman that does that. And so it's been, I think, a very fulfilling yet confronting thing for Chris to be playing that role in, am I saying this correctly?
Totally.
Just to bring everybody up to speed?
Just embracing the idea that me being the one at home handling the lion's share of the things at home are, of course, consistent with my negative belief that that's not good enough, that that's not being supportive enough.
Is it also with success? Like that's not enough in terms of your own career, even though you founded a men's retreat?
Well,
seriously.
You mean?
Well, you run Soul Degree. You run the Booster Club for the high school. You teach yoga classes. You are a CFO, and it's still not enough. And here's the thing that's so interesting, everybody. I'm going to ask Chris a question he doesn't know I'm going to ask him. If you could go back and do something different these last 3 or 4 years and actually go and work and
build a business that's solely your own and not be around. And I mean, would you trade the years that you've had with our kids, the last 3 years, or for something else?
No, definitely not.
Well, see, then that's the thing that's crazy. Is here you're sitting here torturing yourself saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, it's not enough, it's not enough. But given the option, if we could wave a magic wand and change everything, and the circumstances would be different, but you had to trade the time that you had with our kids, would you do it? The answer is no. So here's the thing that's interesting, and I'm so happy that you admitted to that, because it points out the fact that your default thinking isn't logical. It's just a habit. It's something you've been doing for so long that you don't even realize it. And even though it doesn't serve you, and even though, like Chris just said, he would never change a thing, and yet he still thinks it's not enough. That to me means that there is some automation here that's going on in your brain where it's set on default. Oh, I got to just think I'm not enough. I got to think I'm not enough. I got to think I'm not enough. You know? Well, here's the bigger question. If you allow this default mode to stay programmed in your brain, how is that going to impact your future? Particularly if you think about things like your aspirations for Soul Degree, the men's retreat that you run.
It's, yeah, I think that if it perpetuates, then I'm obviously my own impediment to what I want it to be. You know, if I'm constantly in that mindset of it's not enough, I haven't done enough, then how could Soul Degree ever become what it should be?
What do you want it to become?
I think I would love to see it touch as many men's lives.
You're about to cry, I could tell.
Yeah, as possible.
Why do you get choked up?
Just because I know the impact. I've experienced the positive impact that it can have, and it's limitless, I think, in the difference that it could make, regardless even of your age. So it's...
Do you see how your limiting belief, the default thinking that you're not enough, will prevent you from...
Oh, totally.
How does it stop you when you think you're not enough? How does it stop you? Like, what are the things that you do when you start getting in that mindset?
Well, it's probably things that you don't do, right? Because if you're not going to be good enough, well, why go do that thing? Whether it's write more or, sort of test the elasticity of what Soul Degree could be also. I mean, it's in a state where there's still so much that we could do to enhance the experience, have it reach more people, which starts with my own. Again, I think part of the limitation is that I've always argued, hey, I'm a shitty marketer. I'm not good at putting the word out, if you will. And even this conversation, talking about something like Soul Degree is...
How many of you can relate to this?
I could be a lot better at that. You're just
stopping yourself, not all the time because of your limiting belief. Like you go to write a blog post about the thing that fills your heart and you're like, ooh, should I really put this out there? That's your limiting belief. That's your default setting. And you're dead right, Chris, and it's the same thing for me. And the same thing for Mandy. What was yours?
I'll never get there.
I'll never get there. I love that one. I'll never get there. Yeah. Because you can feel like just the no matter how hard I try, it's never going to be enough. I'm never going to get there. It's never going to happen. And how that sets you up to just race and race and race and race. And Danielle, what's yours?
But I'm not smart enough.
I'm not smart enough. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to do this. And so if your belief, the default that got programmed a long time ago is I'm not smart enough, then you'll tell yourself, I'm not smart enough to write this blog post. I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I'm not smart enough to build that kind of business. And I'm smart enough to attract the kind of person that I want. And the thing that's scary about default settings, everybody, is that not only are they automated in the default network in your brain, but they're a protection mechanism. By thinking you're not good enough, not smart enough, I'll never get there, not a good person, you actually hold yourself back. And that's one of the reasons why we cling to it. And so if you haven't already, because we're going to wrap up this training and I'm going to tell you what's coming up tomorrow and then we're going to answer questions. If you haven't already,
you got to hear the quote, though, from Nepo today.
Oh, okay.
It's so on point.
See, soul degree right here. So every morning.
It's so cheesy, but
no,
it's so
not.
good.
Every morning, Chris, and I mostly sometimes, Chris reads from this. This is so tattered. He's been doing it for years. My mom also reads this book every single day. Your mom reads this book every single day. It's a page or two every single day. Mark Nero was fighting cancer when he wrote this. And it's beautiful. So
Nepo.
Mark Nepo. Did I say it wrong?
Nemo.
I said Nemo.
But
Finding Nemo.
I'll just read a snippet because it's so on point for January 3rd. That is the 3rd, right, today?
Yeah.
Each person is born with an unencumbered spot, free of expectation and regret, free of ambition and embarrassment, free of fear and worry, an umbilical spot of grace where we are each first touched by God. It is this spot of grace that issues peace. Psychologists call this spot the psyche, theologians call it the soul, Jung calls it the seat of the unconscious, Hindu masters call it the Atman, Buddhists call it Dharma, Rilke calls it inwardness, Sufis call it Qualb, and Jesus calls it the center of our love. To know this spot of inwardness is to know who we are, not by surface markers of identity, not by where we work, or what we wear, or how we like to be addressed, but by feeling our place in relation to the infinite and by inhabiting it. This is the hard, lifelong task, for the nature of becoming is a constant filming over where we begin, while the nature of being is a constant erosion of what is not essential.
Oh.
Each of us lives in the midst of this ongoing tension, growing tarnished or covered over, only to be worn back to that incorruptible spot of grace at our core.
Well, I would say the one word that came to mind when you were reading that was, let's see if I can find it, not essential. You know what's not essential is your default thinking and your negative belief. And in fact, it is essential that you get rid of it. You're awesome. You don't have to go. I'm gonna keep wrapping.
I am
this.
gonna go.
You are going? Where are you going?
I'm sure
He's got a blog post to write because now he's gotten rid of his limiting belief. Bye.
See ya.
Okay. So tomorrow, I want you to write your limiting belief in there. And here's another thing. What is it costing you right now? What are the things you're not doing because of that limiting belief? For me, not being a good person, I think it's the thing that keeps me isolating myself. And it also, I can see how, just like Chris was explaining, that his limiting belief has him not doing things like writing more blog posts and putting himself out there. Even though I'm out there, there's, I think, a level to which I'm not because of this belief that I'm not a good person. So I want you to write in the comments what's your limiting belief and what's it costing you right now. What are you not doing because of it? And I want to come back to the opening quote. You have a choice. You're either going to repeat what you're doing or you're going to evolve it. And when you ask yourself these three questions, what is my limiting belief cost me in the past? What's it costing me right now? And what is it going to cost me if I continue to choose to do it? If I continue to choose to be on default? Hopefully getting in touch with that will help you, give you, motivate you, push you to choose to be deliberate in what you're thinking next. Because tomorrow what we're going to be talking about is how do you create a deliberate belief, one that you don't believe yet. We're going to teach you how to think this, not that. because it's essential that you have something to go to for when you catch yourself going to that default. So trust me when I tell you, tomorrow we are going to take you from the, oh my God, I need to stop doing this, and into the mode of, okay, I got this. I can think this, not that. Let me pick up the book because I promised to read it. Let me give you 3 steps, everybody. We're going to pick up the book at step 1 on how you create new beliefs. Okay, you ready? You're going to get 2 videos for the price of 1. First, I explain why mantras are bullshit. That's basically page 91, 90 through 91 in this book. Now I'm going to teach you from page 92 to 99, the 3 steps to creating new beliefs. Okay, you ready, everybody? There are 3 steps to creating new beliefs. You're going to love this. Obviously, you can use the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that I created to interrupt any thoughts. How many of you would love to create new beliefs about yourself? Okay, we're moving on from mantras and affirmations and why most mantras and affirmations are bullshit. And it's believable, and align your actions with that and continue to repeat it throughout the day. A believable mantra, something a little bit smaller, is going to create momentum, belief, and confidence in self. It's a way to buoy yourself when you're bobbing up and down in life. Now we're going to move on, and I want to teach you how to create new beliefs. Right now, before I teach you the 3 steps, what is a new belief that you want to have in your life, everybody? What's a new belief that you want to have? I'll tell you a belief that I'm struggling with. This is going to sound kind of crazy. Chris and I are in the middle of building this amazing house in Vermont. And our son is going to high school up there. And I'm sitting in our house outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And I have been alone here for the last 6 months because I've been coming back and forth because we're under construction in order to get work done. And nobody's here. It's like me and our cat, Mr. Noodle. And it's really lonely. But I have lived in this house, everybody, for 24 years. And the belief that I am wanting to create is that it is time to close the door, to start a new chapter, to make Southern Vermont more of my full-time place, and to rent an apartment in downtown Boston. And I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling with that because I've lived in this house for 24 years. This is where we raised our children. 2 of them have gone and left, and our son is now at the public high school in Vermont. And I'm having a really hard time letting go. I'm waking up every morning. I'm having these nightmares that we're going to sell the house. And then 2 years from now, I'm going to be driving by, stalking the new owners and crying because I regret selling the house. That I'm going to get up to Vermont and I'm not going to like to be up there all the time. And I'm going to wish I had not sold our house, that I'm going to get down to Boston and be in an apartment. I haven't lived in an apartment in 27 years and I'm going to hate that. And so I want to create a new belief that it's going to be okay. And in fact, that it's not only going to be okay, this new chapter, but that it's actually going to be amazing. It's going to be the best thing that I've ever done. Now, do I know if that belief is true? No. And in fact, I have so much fear about selling the house that we raised our kids in and starting this whole new chapter. I'm afraid I'm not going to like it. I'm going through the same thing that you probably are going through right now. That my fears have like a stranglehold on me. But I so desperately want to believe this. There's a part of me that can just feel that it is necessary. There's a part of me that feels like a ghost in my old chapter as I'm walking around this house. Now, here's a funny data point. My parents still live in the house that I grew up in. So my parents are living in a house that has 4 bedrooms and no kids are there. And they've been there ever since I left. My God, I left when I was 18. How old is that? 33 years ago? Yeah. So I have never had the experience of having to leave a family home. And it is just like right here. And
I'm fighting with myself about it. So do you relate to this story, everybody? That there's something that you want to believe. There's some change that you want to make. There's something that you're called toward, but you're just scared. And it's your old beliefs that I'm going to regret this, or this is going to be a mistake, or what if this doesn't work out, or what if this is the worst thing I could have ever done, or what if that, right? And so this is where I am. And I want you to think about what's some change that you want to make in your life and the belief that you need to change in order to really lift yourself up and support yourself through the process of changing. The belief that I want to have is that this next chapter is going to be the best chapter of my life, and that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. That really, it's not about a house, everybody. It's about the people that are in the house. And now that I'm here alone, boy, is that true. But I'm so scared to let go. All right. And you know what I love? You guys are so cute. Everybody's trying to solve this problem. Just rent it out. Then you can keep it. Right? You're going to be okay, Mel. No problem. Mel, just rent an apartment. Use this as the production studio. Like, you love that you guys are problem solving. It's true, I could rent it out. But I feel like there's something bigger here. You know, everybody, where you just know it's kind of time to let go, where it's let go of a relationship or a place or a friendship or a career, that there's some big move, right? And yeah, I think I'm taking my time with leaving a family home because it is a big decision. 24 years in one place is a big thing. Having roots somewhere is a big thing. And so my belief and the belief that I want to change is about okayness. It's about the permission to take a risk and to dream and to trust myself. Because, you know, when I close my eyes, just like when you close your eyes and think about this change that you want to make, you know what's right for you. Yes, Faye says it feels like a part of you will die if you leave. The truth is, a part of me does need to die because I'm no longer in that chapter of my life and I'm holding on to it, right? So what are the 3 steps to changing a belief? And now that you have the belief that you want to change, what is the belief that you want to change, everybody? Describe in the comments what's holding you back. What's holding me back is I may regret this decision. And once I sell the house, there's no going back. I want to believe I'm going to be okay no matter what I decide. That I need to trust my heart in this one. That in order to open the door and step into this next chapter of my life, I got to let go of the handle and close the door on this past one. I'm not getting choked up. I just have cat hair that just flew in my mouth. So hold on a second. Here, now I'm going to sneeze. This is how you know it's live, everybody. So step number 1, you're going to love this tool. And I write about this in the High Five Habit. If you have not bought a copy of this book, and you can, please do. It's extraordinary. It's in 41 languages already. It only came out in September. And it's changing people's lives around the world. And we're on page 92, everybody. But step 1 is a simple tool. If you catch the negative thought, like my thought sounds like, fuck, 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 fuck. What if I sell this? What if I never see my kids again? What if nobody visits me in Vermont? What if I fucking regret selling this house? What if I get to a goddamn apartment building in Boston and the people above me are having sex every night really loud and there's a dog next door and I hate the building and somebody's cooking something every day and it smells like shit and I can't get out and I hate my street and I don't know where to park. Like, this is how crazy my mind is starting to go around this chapter and this change I want to make. Okay? So 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Interrupt that shit. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, I'm not thinking about that. Say, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about that is literally a karate chop to the craziness in your head. Every single morning when I wake up in our bedroom here in Boston, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I selling? I just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not thinking about that right now. Step number 2, I talk about this on page 94 of the book. Step number 2, note to self. Let me explain what that means. Okay. That's it. Becca, do you have, could you grab me a Post-it note so I can show these guys? Note to self. You already know, oh, here's one. Oh no, these are not sticky. Oh, fabulous. Look at that. Okay. You guys want to see something funny? These are my Post-it notes. This one says busy as fuck. I love this one. Hey Mel, keep up the okay work. Isn't that awesome? Keep up the okay work, Mel. There you go. Little boost from Mel Robbins to Mel Robbins. Step number 2, Post-it note. Write a note to self. Here's what I would write. You ready? You're going to write a believable mantra or affirmation. This is where believable mantras come in. You ready? When you have a negative belief that starts haunting you or worries, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, interrupt it with a 5-second rule and then karate chop it in half by saying, I'm not thinking about that. Because the fact is, you don't need to think about that. Most of the things that you're worried about right now, a month from now, you're not going to be even worried about it, okay? Most of the things. So when you catch yourself worrying or trashing yourself or ruminating, use the 5-second rule, take a 5-second moment of control by counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then karate chop that shit in half by saying, I'm not thinking about that. If this is a chronic belief that you want to now insert to teach your brain, I want you to use a visual cue. This says, trust your heart. It knows. You will be okay. Notice I didn't say, sell the damn house, you're going to be fine. That would actually scare me. Notice I didn't say, stop being a chicken shit. That would probably make me nervous. This is believable. Trust your heart. It knows. And you will be okay makes me feel okay. And having this note to self, which is basically a believable mantra, that is what I'm going to use as the 3rd step. So step 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5-second moment of control. Step 2, karate chop that shitty thought with, I'm not thinking about that. Step number 3, use a visual trigger in a place you're going to see it. I like to put it on my bathroom mirror. I like to put it on my laptop. I sometimes put them on the back of my phone. You can take a photo of this and make it your screen saver on your phone so you see your own writing in an unexpected place. And this keeps this new belief front and center. Now remember, the belief needs to be something within reach. How many of you believe this statement, trust your heart? Right? Yeah, of course you do. I think your heart often knows the answer, and sometimes it just takes your mind a little while to catch up. And how many of you believe that this is true? You will be okay. You may not be okay right now, but you will be okay. Like all the difficult decisions and all the scary things that have happened to you, this moment too, this decision too, it's going to pass and you're going to be okay because you've always been okay. So now let's go and see what else. Now, here's the thing. Step number 4. This is everything that I'm always teaching you. Step number 4. Act like the person you want to become. Act like the person you want to become. What does that mean? What that means is if I want to be the kind of person that trusts my heart, that knows that I'm going to be okay, what does that kind of person do, everybody? What does the person who trusts themselves and who knows that they're going to be okay do? Can you think of some actions that that kind of person takes? I know some actions immediately. That kind of person always journals, right, about what's in their heart. That kind of person is kind to themselves. That kind of person takes their time and is patient with themselves. And that kind of person is doing the work to support themselves. That kind of person is telling themselves that they're going to be okay. And so this last piece, number 4, act like the person that you want to become. This part's critical, and this is why most mantras and affirmations don't work, because just saying something isn't enough. The belief becomes real when you start taking actions that are aligned with the new belief. The new belief becomes real. The new belief becomes encoded in your brain, in your nervous system, in your neural pathways, in your habits, in your systems, in the way you talk to yourself. Your new belief becomes real when you take actions that are aligned with the new belief. I did not make this up. This is an entire field of study called behavioral activation therapy. Absolutely everything that I teach you is grounded in behavioral activation therapy. I am trying to make you understand that before you feel like the person you want to become, you need to start acting like the person you want to become. Before you feel ready to go to the gym for the first time in a year, you need to push yourself. Use the 5-second rule. Take a 5-second moment of control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to push yourself to act like a person now that has already got a habit of going to the gym. That's how your belief that I deserve to be healthy and I can figure out how to do it, that's how your belief goes from just a statement that you say to a 5-second moment of control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the action and act like that person. Go to the gym. For those of you that want to write, for those of you that want to grow your business, ask yourself, what does a person that is a successful writer do every single day? They write. Before you feel like a writer, you need to make yourself take actions that a writer takes. So that as you stand and you start to say, I can figure out how to write a book. Over time, I could write a book. But then if you leave the bathroom after saying that to yourself, you now need to push yourself to sit your ass in a chair and do what a writer does, which is write about 500 pages of horse shit before you have anything worthy of sharing with somebody else. If you struggle with growing your business, I guarantee you, you're not doing the work that would grow your business. You're thinking about all the reasons why you can't. We need to invert this, everybody. You need to start saying, I am capable of figuring out how to grow my business. I am capable of pushing through the fear and picking up the phone and selling. I am able to figure this out. And then you need to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take the actions before you're motivated, before you're ready, before, like, when you're afraid, you can still take the action. When you're hesitating, you can still take action. When you don't feel ready, you can still take the action. Action is the only way you're going to change your life. And by the way, action is necessary. You have to decide what you want to believe, and then you got to do the really hard work to push yourself to take the action before you're ready. That's the only way that you will change how you think about yourself, how you think about your life, how you think about your future. By deciding what you want and pushing yourself to take action 5 seconds at a time when you're scared, when you're anxious, when you're not feeling ready. That's how you change anything. And that's how you put it all together. Now on page 99, you're going to see a photograph of a woman who took these 4 steps, everybody. She started interrupting the negative bullshit in her mind. She started saying, I'm not thinking about that. She created all of these notes to self that are right there so she sees them every single day, the believable things that you're improving every day. That's right, you are. I'm proud of you. These are things that you can believe. And then, more importantly, she is getting up every damn day and she is high-fiving herself in the mirror and she is slowly but surely doing the work to change how she feels about herself. So, in summary, here's the things I want you to do. Number 1, and I'm on page 100. Never leave a bathroom without high-fiving yourself in the mirror. Never leave a bathroom without high-fiving that person you see in the mirror. Because the high-five action takes programming in your mind, overrides negative self-talk, and aims all the positive programming associated with a high five right back at your face and your identity. Number 2, if you have not taken the High Five Challenge, highfivechallenge.com, get your ass in the High Five Challenge. It is a free 5-day challenge that I lead, 5 video trainings. It is hosted by my friends at Growth Day. I've arranged for you to be able to be on the app for free. When you are done with the High Five Challenge, you can either join Growth Day, but you don't have to. You get the challenge for free. Once the 5 days is over, just make sure you get into our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is, what is it, High Five Crew?
Yes.
So can they search for High Five Crew?
Yes.
So you can just search for High Five Crew. We'll put a link in the comments below to High Five Crew, everybody. And that's it. Use the 4 steps I just gave you to identify the negative beliefs and to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, interrupt them, karate chop them with, I'm not thinking about that. Make a note to self of what you actually want to start to believe. And then, most importantly, use the 5-second rule. Use the high five habit and push yourself to take the actions, the little actions, everybody, that change the entire trajectory of your life. That's how you change, period. 1 step at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 5-second moment of control at a time. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.